Well, you mentioned St. Francis, so let's transition to the college game. Talk about the recruits that Coach Lacrosse has signed for this upcoming season, because obviously they've got some big shoes to fill with Dejavon Slayer-Davis graduating and leaving a big hole there scoring-wise.
Well, there's nobody that's going to fill the All-American shoes of Dejavon. He was a great player and fantastic representative of that program. But they do have a lot of perimeter kids coming in. They have Spencer Comer out of Rushville. They have Greg Dickey, who is a very, very strong point guard out of Tipton. But he blew out his knee late this season, so how he recovers from that will remain to be seen. They have Seth Small, another point guard from Hamilton Heights, who teamed with Austin Etherington this year at Hamilton Heights, who's a nice little player. And they have a 6'7" strong post player from Center Grove that's coming in. But really, they're going to look at guys like Kevin Dawson and Scott Cohn. You mentioned, it's interesting you mentioned him. Coach Lacrosse is very high on what Scott has done, not only this year but in the off season. So look for him to really take a big leap this coming season. But really, most of their big impact recruits are going to be on the perimeter this year.
You mentioned Scott Coney. Reminded me of what you said about Keith Cochran, of where you saw him in high school and you thought, boy, this guy, you give him a couple years to let the body mature, and when he's 22 years old, he's going to be one heck of a player. Let's move on to IPFW. Tony Jasic has filled out a 6-person recruiting class, which includes Justin Jordan, who was a late transfer last year. Obviously, we know a lot about JJ from his time in Northside. Was in the rotation for Rick Majerus as a freshman at St. Louis. What do you expect Justin Jordan to add to this program as the first IPFW recruit we can talk about?
Well, off the court, what he sends is a message that to Fort Wayne kids and northeastern Indiana kids that IPFW is a legitimate program now. And what you're going to see happening now, IPFW has had a lot of victories both in men's and women's basketball this year. They have the new student services complex, which will just blow anybody away once they see it. They have the new renovated weight room that is athletic use only. There's a whole lot of excitement going on at IPFW right now. And when Justin Jordan decided to come back to IPFW, it sent the message to Fort Wayne kids, it's okay to go to IPFW. But I'll tell you something about Justin Jordan. I watched an open gym session the other day. He is a very good player, but they have so much talent at IPFW now. If people think that Justin Jordan's going to come in there and play 30 minutes a game and dominate this program, they got another thing coming. Justin Jordan's going to have to earn his time on the court, and he understands that. But he does bring scoring, he does bring quickness, does bring ball handling. He can transition end to end very, very well. But they have so much talent in that program. There's going to be a lot of really good players that sit the bench this year at IPFW.
And one of those good players is a guy, we got some glimpses of him when Snyder played Marion a couple times a few years ago. I know Scotty Wood was kind of the focus for Marion, but I remember seeing Michael Brigham and looking at this guy and thinking, you know, if somebody gets their hands on this guy, if maybe he goes to a JUCO and refines his game, he's going to be a dangerous player because he's 6'6", long, athletic, and that's just what he did. Played at Mott Junior College, and now he's coming back to Northeast Indiana to play as a JUCO signee for the Mastodons.
Yeah, Mott Community College, one of the best programs in the country at that level, and he was a starter for him, did very, very well, led him to the national tournament. But you know, the interesting thing, as good as Michael Brigham is, he's not even the best post recruit that they brought in this year. Demario Hines, a 6'8" kid out of a Texas JUCO, is regarded as even better. But there's going to be a lot of competition on that front court because you have returning starters, Trey McCorkle and John Peckinpah in front, or up front, along with Michael Kibalowski and Hisham Benayard Sharif. There's just a lot of competition, but you're right. Brigham is very athletic, very skilled, and Demario Hines is another great player too.
They tried to get Hines originally out of high school in Cleveland, correct?
Right, yes. Ended up going to the JUCO route, but they got him eventually, maintained that relationship with him, and it paid dividends.
I remember Dean talking about him a few years ago, just loved the guy,
yeah.
And now he finally ends up for 2 seasons in a Dons uniform.